Hello, welcome to the Master Gardener channel. I'm Nick Williams, Master Gardener from Becker County and the University of Minnesota Extension Service. Today we're going to talk about my indoor hydroponics with which we grow tomatoes in the winter. I've been doing this for about 10 years and it's been a pretty steep learning curve. However, I think we've finally gotten to the point where we can produce 10 or 15 pounds of tomatoes every winter in this small room. There are several types of hydroponics. What I use is something called ebb and flow. That is, these pots that have the tomatoes receive nutrient solution from the room next door approximately 4 times per day, and then a pump pumps it back again after about a half an hour. The other types would be a continuous flow or a deep water submersion in hydroponic solution. We found those are not really adaptable to indoor and home use on a small scale. Another thing that's important with the hydroponics is the water itself, and we found that if one has a water softener that replaces calcium and magnesium with sodium, that is, you use salt in your water softener, it does not work very well. Apparently there's just too much sodium in the water. However, plain ordinary well water is fine. Some purists use reverse osmosis for more pure water, but I don't really think that's necessary. The second part, other than the water that's important, is the nutrient solution, and those are available commercially. We buy it in 5-gallon jugs, and they last 2 to 3 years. It's not terribly expensive to buy the nutrients, and the balance of nutrients is what creates the type of plant that you have. For example, if one puts in lots of nitrogen, you get lots of leafy growth. If one decreases the nitrogen and increases the potassium, then you tend to get more flowers and fruit. So you can adjust how your plant is growing by adjusting the concentration of the nutrients. The second thing is the lights, and you see these lights here. Within the last 2 or 3 years, LED technology has evolved to the point where lights are affordable. These lights can be tuned to various frequencies. For example, at around 400 nanometers or nanometers, you might influence flowering growth, and higher frequencies of around 600 may encourage vegetative growth. These lights can be tuned, and they burn about 1/3 the energy of fluorescent lights or incandescent lights, so they're quite economical, and over the last 18 months they've come down in price to where the home gardener can afford them. Also, the gas in this room is important. Plants need carbon dioxide, but interestingly the roots also need oxygen. And if you were to seal this room up, you may have some problems with that. We usually leave it open for 2 reasons. One is to dissipate some of the heat from the lights, and the other is to make sure that the gases in the air stay relatively constant. That is the same in the house. We do have a fan that brings in outside air if the oxygen level decreases. The temperature of the room is also important. It should be below 80 degrees, and as you can see, it's about 76 degrees in here now. That is adjusted with various fans and extractors and such. The lights are on a timer, and at this point they're set to mimic approximately the middle of August at this geography. That is, the days are shortening by about 4 minutes every day, and that helps influence fruiting and development of the tomato as well. This is a Brandywine tomato. It was planted on the 1st of November, so it's about 2 months old. This is one tomato that was the first flower that we have. Interestingly, it's a self-pollinator. That is, we don't have to have bugs in here to pollinate it, but it does require vibration to get the pollen to drop from the flower into the part that becomes the fruit. So every once in a while I come down here, believe it or not, I use an electric razor that vibrates the flower at approximately the right frequency to get the plant or the flower to be pollinated. This is a rather large one. There's some smaller ones over here. There's several back there. We probably have 2 or 3 dozen tomatoes in various stages of development at this time. We've been at this for approximately 10 years now. It's been a very interesting process. We've learned quite a bit, and at first we were able to produce almost no fruit at all. We had lovely flowering plants that looked like a jungle in here, and then we realized that it had to do with the proportion of nitrogen in the nutrient solution. We had way too much nitrogen. It kind of inhibited flowering. And then we found that the light adjustment had to be just right. One has to have decreasing amount of light during the days for the fruit to produce and set properly. and also the temperature. We had this room way too warm at first. We kept it at 90 to 100 degrees, and that inhibited tomato growth. At this point, like I said, we anticipate about 15 pounds of tomatoes in one winter, and as you know, there's nothing better than a homegrown tomato, and these tomatoes taste just like the ones we grow out in the dirt. In Minnesota, we consider it a tremendous advantage to be able to have homegrown tomatoes in the middle of February. Thank you for watching.